Good morning, gamers. Welcome back. I am the AMDM lead. This is my cup of coffee, and you're watching FMTrpg Games. So, another new show, or a section, feature, whatever you want to call it. Today, I'm calling this one Behind the Screen. This was actually a suggestion from Rafael Perez about doing a DM tips thing. Where if you have questions about Dungeons and Dragons, I'll answer them. I'll do my best. I'm not the greatest DM in the world, but I'm not too bad if I do say so myself. So, I mean, I'm not Matt Mercer. But I DM. I've been doing it for a while. So, today I'm going to talk about, and again, this is from Raphael. He talked in a couple of different comments. I'm reading them real quick. Talking about the maps and the lines and the ones that don't have lines. So I'm guessing he's talking about. Whoa. Things are breaking. Alright. Like this one, being a gridless map. Versus something like this, which has grids on it. Now, I use both types. It just depends if it's my own game surface, which if I have a photo of it, I'll put it in here. If not, that's just stupid sound I just made. So, I've used both types. I use both gridded and non-gridded. Gridded is really useful for combat when doing movements, especially for new players. It makes it very easy to go, okay, I can move 25 feet, and so that's, each of these is 5 feet, so you can move that. And it's good for knowing your ranges, spell radiuses, and those types of things. Now, the gridless, I do love the gridded maps. And you'll have two types of grids. You're going to have the 1-inch squares, which are very popular. And then you'll have the hex squares, which are also very popular. You'll see more hex squares when you're dealing with large combat terrain stuff. And it's also good. I'm just used to the squares instead of the hexes. So the difference between them, if you're using a non-gridded map, like so, it's best to have, get over here, a ruler of some sort. Or some sort of templates with you. Ungridded or gridless can be gorgeous. Because it's not necessarily, it can be used for multiple things. It does not need, okay, how do I put this? Okay, in a dungeon, there's a possibility of having grids because your stonework in the flooring. So gridded looks really natural there, or can look natural there. In a wilderness setting, grids don't look natural in a wilderness setting. There's really not a way you can make a wilderness setting look natural with grid work. So you can go gridless. It's a personal preference, and I will switch back and forth multiple times. The only time I use something like this that I've built is when there's a boss fight. Or something I want to really make it a special moment. If I'm doing something simple or normal or easy or just non-boss fighty, and I still want to have, and my players still want to have a little tactical advantage so they can see where everything's at, I will use a grid. And I'll just throw some things on it. I've got, I showed you my trees and from the crafting video and all that stuff. I've built a lot of stuff from DM Scotty and the barrels and all of that. So I'll throw them out there so they have an idea, so they can get tactical with it. But if it's one or two bosses, or one or two just minions, there's a lot of times I won't do a grid. I won't do any sort of thing. It'll all be theater of the mind. So going gridless versus gridded, personal choice. It's really good for new players, tracking spell radius. So if you're new, go gridded when you're doing your combat. But remember, you don't have to have a grid to play Dungeons and Dragons. You can do everything theater of the mind. You can sketch it out on a piece of paper if you want. Just say, all right, yeah, you guys are here, this guy's here. And you have an area of effect spell, you're like, okay, I want to move close enough till I can use the spell. And, you know, things like that. I want to try to set it up so it's not going to hit this person. You will have that options. You are, as the DM, can do those. So, it's not necessary to have a grid. It's useful in certain situations. If you don't have a grid and you're running with a miniature combat, definitely get yourself a ruler. Now, the second part, we had another question on creating different maps for alternative player choices. The only time I really create maps or build things like that is when there's a 100% chance that the player is going there. If I have no clue where they're going, I've got a couple of different things I can throw down, and I've got some generic pieces that I can lay down somewhere, or just like those little baubles here and there. Oh, you're in this. Okay, well, here's some bookshelves, and here's the counter. Yeah, the counter's here. Just something I can throw down. I don't necessarily build all of the maps for all the scenarios. I don't have the room for it. You don't have to build all of that. That is not D&D. That is not just D&D. D&D has a lot of different avenues you can go. Don't try to figure out everything your players are going to do. Have some generic pieces. If you're wanting to go with miniatures and the maps and things like that, have some generic pieces that you can lay down for combat. Generic room. I've used this dungeon setup with a couple of different pieces, little set pieces here and there to give it. It's been a dragon's lair. It has been a kobold's cave. It's been all kinds of stuff. You can use different things for different scenarios. Don't try to Raphael, do not try to cover all of your players' bases when it comes to deciding where they're going to go, because inevitably they're going to go somewhere else and you're not going to have a map for it. There's no possible way you can. That's the beauty of running this game. You never know where people are going to go. All right, guys. That's all I got for now. If you like the videos, please click on the like button. If you think someone else would like them, please click on the share button, which should be... Anyway. Every like's an inspiration, every share is an advantage, and every subscription is an experience point. Ooh, rumble. All right. I'm trying to reach 300 experience points so I can get to second level. And as always, the AMDM does hereby authorize you, the viewer, to gain 10 experience points for every video that you share. That's all I got for now. Go roll some dice.